ask, is anyone guilty in here of talking too much with their hands? Okay, so small amount. Is anyone here guilty of being a little too stiff during a speech? Yeah, a little bit more. And is anyone guilty of looking dead during a speech? Okay, so we all suffer from different types of things, and honestly, the biggest part of a speech is looking natural, and that can be really difficult, but you just need to treat it like it's just a conversation with your friends. So I'm excited to pass my expertise to you. We've analyzed many hours of TED Talks, and we found that the most popular ones are ones where people are using body language, because body language is actually also a form. It just intrigues the audience just as much as someone's voice, and it can also just make you more intrigued. So, gestures make people listen to you. Spencer Kelly, professor of psychology and neuroscience at Colgate University and co-director of the School Center for Language and Brain, found that gestures make people pay attention to the acoustics of your speech. Gestures are not merely add-ons to the language, may actually be a fundamental part of it. And we can't help it. Hand gestures come extremely natural to us, but speeches don't in front of people. So we think about it too much, but that's kind of a lot of our flaws. Hand gestures will come completely natural if you really just don't think about it. And gesturing helps us access memories. Using hand gestures while you speak not only helps others remember what you say, but it also helps you speak more effective and quickly. And now to Eric on what not to do.
Alright, so reading off the slide will cause the presenter to not give their full attention to the audience. Now, we're all guilty of reading off slides before, maybe not as extreme as this, but you sometimes read off bullet points. And then you look unprofessional while you do this. It shows that you're not prepared. And it's kind of disrespectful to the audience because the audience is giving you, the presenter, their attention. But if your attention is up on the screen, then you're not reciprocating that attention. It's just not very respectful to do that.
Okay, so use your hands effectively. Now, like at the beginning I told everybody, some people use their hands too much. You want to have an imaginary box that goes from about your waist to the upper part of your chest. If you start doing this stuff, it's distracting and it's counterproductive, and people aren't going to be paying attention to what you're saying. But if you can keep your hands within this imaginary box, then you're going to be able to not distract people, but at the same time engage them without them really even knowing it.
Alright, so not using your hands. Now there are three common forms of not using your hands. One is when you put your hands behind your back. It just makes you look kind of like you're waiting for something to happen, and it's just not very, it's like you're politely waiting, and you just look awkward when you're trying to do it. Another common form is when you're crossing your hands in front of your body, and it makes you look angry and defiant. And lastly, the most common one is when you're putting your hands in your pockets. And when you're doing this, you just kind of you're trying to act cool, but you really just look like you don't know what you're doing when you're trying to give a presentation. And back to what Mike said, basically you want to use your hands in the box so it's effective, and you're trying to engage the audience instead of just not using your hands at all.
Okay, and then for facial expressions, a lot of people find this pretty difficult, and you either look completely dead or you look psychotic. You don't want to have it where you're always showing your teeth, and it doesn't want to be something that you're forced to do. I read something that you want to kind of smile with your eyes. If you're showing teeth the whole time, you're just going to look really out of place and awkward. You just want your face to rest and with your friends. If someone makes a joke or something unusual happens with the presentation, you should just play it off and just laugh with the class. And lastly, yeah, you just want to be natural. All three of these should coincide with each other. Your hand movement, your gestures, and just your overall posture should all correlate with each other.
So what Mike said, what you want to be is natural with your facial expressions. What you don't want to be is unnatural or weird. For example, if you're trying to give a sad story and you just kind of look like you're smiling, and maybe you're monotone because you're thinking about a funny part that comes up in that sad story, it can betray what you're about to say to the audience and make it not as effective as it should be. So in conclusion, you want to be mindful of your gestures and you want to be yourself, and everything will turn out all right.
Jack?
Mike, I see that it says on here you wanted to give feedback on your volume. I thought you had a very conversational tone and it was very nice and easy to listen to.
Cam?
Mike, you said you wanted us to watch your gestures. It's kind of hard for you to do gestures when you hold your paper. So you held your paper in two hands, then you can't really gesture out, otherwise it's figuring it out. So maybe just put it on note cards, you can hold it in one and gesture with the other one.
Yeah, going off that, like when you use like a big sheet like that, when your hands are trembling, you can see it like much more. Like not in like a bad way, but like if it's like note cards, you can kind of hide it, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Eric, I thought your hand gestures were good when you were explaining like the different kinds of hand gestures, like when your hands in your pockets and like behind your back and stuff. But I thought before, when you guys started talking, or before you guys started talking about that stuff, your arms were crossed in front of your body and you would kind of like shrug your shoulders like you wanted the gesture, but your hands were like crossed, so you couldn't necessarily do that. So that's one thing. You just gotta like release that and then try to play along with your gestures naturally.
Jaden?
I thought your tone of voice was really good. It didn't seem like really like scripted. It seemed like you were just talking about stuff that you kind of knew what you were talking about instead of just memorizing something. So I thought your tone of voice was very effective.
I think you should do the whole conclusion, because remember last time you said like, because the last thing you say is like, our overview. And he said he doesn't want it to be an awkward pause, but then we're still going. So if we switch people who's talking, they might start like clapping before I get to say.
Then should I just say what's on the paper and then be done?
Yeah. Like just say what I would say, or don't have you say anything.
I'll
Because
just
if we both say a conclusion, that's gonna be confusing.
I'll just say what I'm supposed to say and then I'll just be like, thank you. And then we'll just be done.
No, I'm just writing it right now.
How many ounces are in a liter? Oh, you can tell me.
24?
24 ounces in 1 liter?
33.
It's not. This is not a guessing game. I'm like literally wondering.
33.814.
33 in 1 liter.
Yep.
So
You looked
two
it up.
liters.
We're talking fluid ounces or?
Yeah, I'm actually up for that. I'll actually do your head.
So that should be it in terms of delivery, right? So we have eye contact, forward movement, voice manipulation, and stance, gestures, etc. Please stop me if it's something that I've talked about already, but with any of these things, in terms of delivery, it's absolutely necessary that you guys are rehearsing them. You will see when you have to create some outlines in the future that I will make you, or do my best to make you,